Hello and welcome to a quick flange with Intoxicus Gaming. It's April the 17th, 2020, and there's been a lot going on. I'm changing a bunch of stuff up and flanging some new stuff up, and I haven't really been doing too much until recently. So when it comes to all that, I'll be doing a channel update video on Monday to kind of explain what's going on, what's changing, and all that kind of flange. But anyways, something came up that's definitely worth a quick flange. It might be a little bit long for a quick flange, but it's kind of a dense topic. But it's something I feel is important enough it needs to be covered, and people need to know about it. But it's something that also deserves a very in-depth look, but that requires some specific research into technical aspects, and also it's good with these situations a lot can develop, which means you can do a big video and then wind up having to update it constantly as new things happen that are actually important to update on. So to avoid updating too much, I want to see where it develops and how it develops, and it's a very interesting one. So obviously, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, the new game Valorant's got some serious stuff going on with the anti-cheat they flanged up, and we're going to start by covering how my kind of chain of my finding out about this. So this is the Reddit post I originally saw. I just saw it randomly and was like, oh holy shit. And then I read about it, I was like, oh what the fuck. So we're not going to go too deep into this post specifically, other than covering the framework of what's going on. Is the Vanguard anti-cheat with Valorant by Riot Games, owned by Tencent, which will become important as we get deeper into this. It runs at ring 0, which isn't necessarily too special. The it's kernel level is ring 0, but Battle Eye and Easy Anti-Cheat do access ring 0 kernel level to make sure people aren't cheating. I do need to double check this, but from what I was reading, Valve Anti-Cheat doesn't use ring 0, and it works pretty decently, I think, mostly, but maybe not. I don't know. I haven't played a lot of online games to even be too up on which anti-cheats are better. All what I can say is Easy Anti-Cheat frustrated me with getting false positives on RGB lighting software. That is just weird and annoying. Not the biggest deal, but I just wasn't too impressed with the Easy Anti-Cheat that it was doing something so silly that was preventable easily. Anyways, not the point. We should move on. I don't want to take too much time with this. Don't want to go more than 15 minutes if I can help it. Anyways, so it's not the ring 0, it's the fact that it runs all the time, even when you're not playing the game. As soon as Windows boots, it's running. That's fucked up. Because at least with the other ones, they don't do shit like that until you're playing the game. At least as far as I'm aware. I really want to double check this, but a lot of the real concern is really that it's Riot owned by Tencent, and we all know who we're being spied on by the NSA, but it's just, I'll just say straight up, I'd rather be spied on by the devil I know than the devil I don't. And it's still fucked up that we know the NSA is spying on us through all, who knows. All the Edward Snowden shit is fucking nuts. It's so crazy realizing how crazy it is, and who knows how much it's evolved. Anyways, that's I don't want to get too tangential. The concern is that the always on anti cheat is potentially a cover for spying the Chinese government, using this to try and spy on people. The other concern is, which is just as big a concern, is that by having this always on driver at ring 0, it becomes a huge vulnerability for hackers. And Sony has already had an issue with this, which we'll cover at the end, but we'll focus on Valorant at first. And I really want to do an in-depth video on this, but just because this is a new thing, and there's some of course there's pushback from people who are like, oh, it's fine, they're preventing cheaters. I'm like, dude, I'm all for preventing cheaters, but it's parallel to the whole idea of governments stepping on freedoms under the guise of increased security. And yeah, there has to be a balance, and I don't want to get too deep into the like the yeah, I don't want to go too much down this road just because of time constraints. That's for the longer video to go more into that discussion. Anyways, so just that I just wanted to just brief everyone on like the bare bones of it. We'll go more into it as we go along. Anyways, so the big points at the end of this are yeah, basically mostly what I covered. It's always on, can't turn it off. And that's just sketchy when it accesses ring 0 and it's always on like that. That's very sketchy. Um, yeah. I'm just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, just and yeah, so they had their like Reddit PR person jump in and try and convince people it's fine. Um, what we got? Well, that was weird. Um, so and this is that post. So this is someone posted this in the Valorant subreddit, and then Dude Face from Riot basically gave their PR nonsense, and it's like, I mean, I just don't trust them, and many people don't, and for good reasons. There's to not trust them with this. I wouldn't trust many people, and I didn't even realize Easy Anti Cheat and what's the other one? I'm derping on the name. But yeah, I didn't realize those two even were kernel level access at all, which I'm not comfortable with even normally. I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's weird. It usually loads tabs faster. I don't know. I'm not sure what's up with that. Just some random bug, probably. I hope that's persistent. I'll have to look into it. But kind of ironic, something weird like that is happening while talking about such a topic. Anyways, this is a more. This one came up today, and I figured it'd include it because it's someone more going in depth on why this is a problem, because there's a lot of people who don't think it's a problem, and all these links are in the description, so I definitely very strongly encourage everyone to find those source links in the description and read these Reddit posts for themselves, and because we just don't have time to go that deep in. But yeah, this post is excellent, and this guy really seems like he knows what he's talking about. And oh yes, we're going to touch on that Reddit post, but this is the fucked up one where it's really throwing up red flags. Someone is playing CS:GO, and it was fucking up their frame rate in another game. That's just crossing a line. Even if we were to say, okay, the ring level 0 all the time access, fuck it, it's secure. Let just for the sake of argument, I don't really believe this, just for the argument, let's say, yeah, the Riot people are right, it's totally secure, we don't gotta worry, but it's fucking up performance in other games. That's just unacceptable. Even if that was the only problem, that by itself would be very fucking unacceptable. So we got that. Just alone, that makes it unacceptable. And then yeah, so this thing where someone, and it's weird that it's Counter-Strike specifically gets named for both of these. Very interesting correlation. Not sure why it's doing that when I'm switching tabs. Very weird. Anyways, because he plugged his phone in. Like, that just shouldn't be happening. Why does it care about his phone being plugged in? The only possible justification I could see for this is that it's looking at USB devices because of a possibility of the cheat software being on a USB device or something like that. But this is fucked up. Like, this just shouldn't happen. Period. Like, this just shouldn't happen. Like, that's just bad. And it just raises the question, is that happening because it's trying to read people's USB devices that are plugged in uncool ways? And that's the thing I forgot to mention earlier with the Ring 0, is it basically allows access to whatever you want. It's like the core level. So we got, just to touch on some, more official, I guess for lack of a better word, but just some other sources that are talking about it too, just for something that's not Reddit, because I don't like going to Reddit as a source, but sometimes because of the nature of it, that's where things kind of congeal first sometimes. So it's kind of a weird thing because sometimes that's where it does start. Like all this started at Reddit first with people talking about it. So yeah, you kind of have to. But anyways, I do want to touch on proper sources talking about, just to show I'm not just like, I'm not just like talking shit and no one really cares. So when I mentioned the Sony thing, we'll touch on that at the end, but it's good that they're mentioning it and linking to the Sony issues all the way back to 2005. So Sony did something similar, and it was a big fucking problem. Like they should really know better. So this is a good visual for Ring Zero. Like it's literally the core, and anything that can access Ring Zero and the kernel, it can do pretty much whatever it wants. There's more to it, but that's it's good enough brief. Too long didn't read explain like I'm 5 level explanation. Although we will go in deeper when I do a full flange deep dive kind of content piece on this. Anyway, so there's the probably fairly well known by now buffer overflow exploit. Like that works way too often, where people just try and like overflow things and then it lets them get in because it just confuses the fucking code. Pretty much is how that works, is they basically just throw more at it than it can handle, then it gets confused and it's just like, yeah, and then it's going like, yeah, that's when it's vulnerable and they can do things, and it's that's a very simplified explanation. Hopefully it's comical at least. So yeah, pretty decent article. The main point was the visual is just a nice one. I'm a visual person, visual learner, so it's just nice to have a visual. So another article, they use the same visual, some quotes from Riot. Link will be in the comments. So this is a blog by so this is on the Riot Games website for League of Legends. I'm not sure who Mirage of Penguins is, but the we're protecting, like, so it seems like it's the people who built this thing trying to convince people they shouldn't be freaked out by it, even though you definitely should be freaked out by it. Like, I ain't installing Valorant. No, fuck that. I mean, no. I mean, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not even that interested in the game in the first place, but I'm definitely not even checking it out. Not even on console. It just puts me off of the game so strongly that it's not even funny, and we should not tolerate this kind of stuff. And oh my god, I think I'm going to panic. Well, you shouldn't panic, but you should be very concerned. Oh my god. False equivalence. Okay, false equivalence. I'm still not comfortable with the kernel driver. Also, kernel driver and Ring Zero may not exactly correlate. That's another detail point I need to get clarification on for myself. Again, quick flange, we're already going too far in time. I shouldn't have even called it a quick flange, really. Anyways, yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know. We should save that for the going in deeper video. So yeah, they did respond, and basically they're trying to convince people that it's fine, and yeah, anyone that understands the shit is pretty much like, no, what the fuck that. I gotta wonder how many people posting on Reddit and social media in favor of Riot and Vanguard. Some might just be kind of naive and not fully understand the implications of it, and I do wonder how many might be paid shills or that kind of thing. That is a real thing that does happen, and it's, yeah, it is a very real consideration that they might be trying to obfuscate with their own social media accounts and stuff. On this article, I was just like, this one was just ridiculous. Like, this kind of stuff that makes me wonder. It's like, who, like, literally, like, did they pay him to write this? And hyperbole, although I did make a comment of such nature in the comments, perhaps. But it is just this is just so ridiculous. I had to point it out. I shouldn't even give it attention, but it's just so ridiculous. Anyways, but yeah, so stuff like that makes me wonder, because this is so plainly not a good thing, and I'm definitely 100% against cheaters. I don't fucking cheat. I'm strongly fucking against cheating. Fuck that shit. I want it to stop, but it can't be stopped at there's limits. We can't accept certain trade-offs. And the whole thing with Sony, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have even called the quick flange. I'm sorry this is going on so long. This is like twice as long as a quick flange ever should be. I should have just stayed regular flange, but I'm kind of committed to quick flange. Anyways, we're flanging. So this is the example of why this is a big fucking problem. Sony did pretty much this exact same thing, except it was on like CD and I think also DVD copy protection. And now I wonder if by then I was pretty much all downloading music by that time. I wouldn't be surprised if I might have fucking had that and not even realized. Come to think of it, with the time frame, I had some CDs that were like, because I was super big into the Doors then, so I might have actually had that at some point on one of my systems, or my girlfriend at the time's computer, although she would have put just as many CDs in to do it. It's just it didn't click in that I could have had it. Anyways, I shouldn't get too stuck on that. So 2005, Sony implemented some DRM that was pretty much a driver level kernel type deal, and that's the thing. It's pretty much a rootkit. It does the same thing rootkits do, because rootkits go to ring 0 and then they do some really crazy shit. I almost never have caught a virus, but I did catch a rootkit that destroyed a fucking hard drive once. I'm glad it didn't get beyond that one hard drive, but rootkits are fucking crazy. Literally, it destroyed a fucking hard drive. I managed to like figure out what was going on and stop it from spreading to any other hard drives, but I think I just threw that hard drive out because it was probably like permanently done. But like, it literally wrecked the fucking hard drive. Like, rootkits are fucking dangerously destructive. Like, and I'm not even like, yeah, and the shit it was doing to that hard drive, and it's like, it was big red flags because weird shit was going on with the hard drive and the file system. Anyways, shouldn't get too hung up. Anyways, the point is, rootkits can do some really crazy shit, and I've only experienced it once, and it's the only virus I've ever run into. Yeah, the only real virus I've ever run into one time was one rootkit, and that literally destroyed a fucking hard drive. Anyways, so we should get this wrapped up because I'm going way over time for a quick flange. Basically, their DRM, because it was a piece of shit, allowed hackers to use the DRM to fuck people's computers up. They got sued. It was a big deal. No uninstaller, couldn't really be uninstalled, so you have to install Windows to do it, which I'm not sure if that's a problem with Vanguard. I won't be surprised if it is, if it doesn't fully uninstall, and it's because that's another problem with them, is when you get them, they're incredibly hard to remove because they're at ring 0, so they can do weird tricky shit to avoid being removed, or just like you just have to take very specific steps to remove them. So, you'll run the uninstall, but it'll leave these bits behind that leave backdoors for hackers, the Chinese government, that kind of deal. So, yeah. I'm surprised I didn't remember this more when it happened, but in that period of my life, I wasn't, so much in touch with things. So yeah, anyways, they got sued, there's recall, cost them a bunch of money, was a big fucking deal, they got in a bunch of fucking trouble for it, and anyone in their right mind would look at this history and be like, this is a bad fucking idea. Yeah, so, and then, you read all of, like, Riot stuff, and they're like, oh, but we tested it, and all this, and it's like, I don't trust your testing. I just don't. I don't trust Tencent and Riot. Like, I don't trust Tencent. I don't trust the Chinese government. Like, I don't really trust the U.S. or Canadian governments that much either. I trust the Chinese government even less than our own governments. Um, yeah, and that's a discussion for another time. And yeah, we are way fucking over time for a quick flange. I should not have called this a quick flange. Anyways, basically, we should end on the point. There's a very firm example that anyone can look into themselves why this is a horrible fucking idea for them to do. And uh, even if it's true as they framed it, that other anti-cheats do the same thing but aren't always on, that makes me wary of those other anti-cheats. I wasn't aware of that because I didn't think they would go that far, and I would have thought if they went that far, it'd be people would make a bigger deal of it. But you know, things are crazy these days. But yeah, it's just with seeing so much pushback against people being like, hey, this is fucked up, that seems like it might be propaganda, for lack of a better word. I don't know if that's the best or most appropriate word, but I can't think of a better one. Anyways, the narrative coming from Riot and entities that are questionable if they're actual people, those narratives, I'm just worried about people buying into them, and that, you know, I won't be surprised if this blows up and becomes a really big deal when some hackers, there's definitely going to be hackers looking at this news being like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. So hell, I'll even make a prediction. I'll make a prediction. I'd be surprised if it takes a month, but I'll say up to a month, something big will happen with the Valorant Vanguard anti-cheat system where some hacker or something takes advantage of the Ring Zero kernel level access, breaks it, fucks some shit up hard because someone has Valorant and Vanguard installed, and then everyone's like, we told you so. So I'll make that prediction. I'll just straight up make a prediction that's going to happen. And it'll take up to a month, but I'd say probably more like 2 weeks. Because I know if I was a hacker, that's what I'd be like, ooh, I got a fun fucking project to flange up now. But yeah, I never got deep into that stuff. I could have, but I didn't. Yeah. So yeah, it's if Valorant actually is a good game, it just doesn't really interest me. If it is a good game, it's really unfortunate. But I'd say you're better off probably playing other games that aren't Valorant. That's just me, and yeah, it's a very, in a way, it doesn't surprise me, but it's still a very unfortunate, mediocre, frustrating situation to have happen at all, because it really should, especially after Sony did this like 15 years ago and it just blew up in their face. Like, or the way I phrased that was a little bit weird, but yeah, it happened 15 years ago and it blew up in their face when they flanged it up pretty good. So you think they'd look at history and be like, even if we do want to spy on people, maybe we should not be so obvious about it. And like, I'd bet money, like serious money, that it's Tencent using it to spy on people in some way or another, even if it's just for their own marketing data, selling data because data's so valuable, even if it's just that. Yeah, this isn't really a quick flange. I do apologize for labeling it as such. Maybe I'll it's a bit too late to redo the thumbnails and stuff. I'll call it a quick flange anyways. I went on way too fucking longer than I thought I would. I wanted to keep this short, but it's just, there's just too much to it. But yeah, so there will be a proper in-depth breakdown that's more technical and really goes into it, but that'll take a while, like I was saying. And yeah, I won't do, yeah, I'll just mention streaming Final Fantasy today and all weekend, so tune in for that. Or I should say the Final Fantasy VII remake, and yeah, yeah, flanging up stuff next week. And yeah, hope to see you at the stream. Have a good one. Remember to bring a towel. I'm always slow on the outro music, but here we go. Ooh.